Ignis was not a place for the weak. The air here tasted of sulfur and ash, and the ground was always warm to the touch, vibrating with the magma that flowed miles beneath the crust. This was the domain of the Flame Emperor. He was an elder Charizard, his scales the color of dried terracotta, thickened and scarred from decades of territorial disputes. A jagged white line ran across his snout, a souvenir from a Tyranitar that had learned the hard way not to climb his mountain. His wings, vast membranes of leathery teal, were currently folded against his back as he perched on a spire of black basalt, watching the horizon. The flame on his tail burned with a steady, deep orange thrum, a furnace that kept the chill of the high altitude at bay. Below him, tucked into a sheltered overhang guarded by geothermal vents, were three smaller flames. His clutch. The Charmander were barely a month old, chirping shadows that chased embers and practiced tiny, puffing ember attacks that barely singed the rock. The Charizard's eyes, sharp and intelligent, narrowed. The wind changed. Usually, the updrafts here were hot and dry. Today, a scent cut through the sulfur, ozone and deep ocean moisture. Far to the east, over the sea, the sky bruised purple. A massive typhoon was brewing, unseasonably cold and moving with unnatural speed toward the coast. A low growl rumbled in the Charizard's chest, vibrating through his ribs. He knew storms. He had flown above hurricanes and used their winds to travel continents. But this was different. The air pressure dropped so rapidly, his inner ears popped. This was a storm that intended to drown the world. Within an hour, the first tendrils of freezing rain hissed against the hot rocks of the Caldera. The temperature plummeted 50 degrees in minutes. The Charizard roared, a sound like tearing metal, ordering his young deep into the cave. They scrambled, terrified by the sudden change in their father's demeanor. He landed at the mouth of the cave, turning his back to the incoming gale, spreading his massive wings to create a living shield. He mantled over the entrance, digging his claws into the stone. The storm hit with the force of a physical blow. The rain wasn't just water. It was near freezing sleet, driven sideways by winds that could snap pine trees. For hours, the Charizard held the line. The water sluiced over his scales, steaming as it hit his natural body heat. But the cold was relentless. It seeped past his defenses, aching in his bones. He could hear the whimpering of the Charmander behind him as the temperature in the cave began to drop. His own tail flame, usually a roaring bonfire, began to sputter. The deluge was too intense. Steam billowed around his tail, thick as fog. But the core of the flame was shrinking, turning from orange to a desperate flickering yellow. If his flame went out, he died. If he died, the cold took his young. The Charizard lifted his head, water streaming from his snout ridges. He looked up into the swirling black vortex of the storm clouds directly above the mountain peak. The heart of the typhoon was trying to stall right over his home. Defense was failing. Only offense remained. With a bellow that drowned out the thunder, he pushed off the mountain. His wings caught the hurricane force winds, threatening to tear his shoulders from their sockets. He was blasted backward, slammed against a rock face, but he dug his claws in and climbed. He fought the air itself, pumping his wings with agonizing effort, rising higher into the freezing blackness. Hailstones the size of fists hammered his hide. He was freezing. His tail flame was a mere pilot light now, flickering wildly in the turbulent wet air. He breached the lower cloud layer. He was in the belly of the beast now, surrounded by arcing lightning and deafening thunder. The cold was absolute. He felt his movements slowing, his energy fading. Now, he opened his maw wide. He didn't just breathe fire. He reached deep into the geothermal energy he had absorbed his entire life. The glands in his throat ignited. He unleashed a fire blast of cataclysmic proportions. It wasn't just a stream of flame. It was a star-shaped explosion of concentrated heat, white-hot at its core. It erupted upward into the super-cooled center of the storm cell. The collision of extreme heat and extreme cold created an atmospheric shockwave that rocked the entire mountain range. A flash of blinding white light consumed the sky. The sound that followed wasn't thunder. It was the sound of the atmosphere cracking open. The water in the clouds instantly vaporized into steam, expanding violently and shattering the structure of the typhoon. The Charizard, drained of everything, fell from the sky. He tumbled through the dissipating clouds, his wings limp. He crashed onto the sulfur shelf near the cave entrance, sliding across the wet rock, motionless. His tail flame was barely a spark, a tiny red ember clinging to the wick. Silence fell over the mountain, broken only by the sound of dripping water as the remnants of the storm drifted harmlessly away. Slowly, cautiously, 3 small orange heads poked out of the cave. The Charmander crept toward the immense, still form of their protector. They nuzzled his snout, chirping anxiously. They huddled around his tail, instinctively trying to share their own small warmth with the dying ember. A long, shuddering breath racked the giant's body. The ember glowed brighter. It caught. A small yellow flame flickered to life, then orange. Then, with a whoosh, it roared back into a stable, powerful blaze. The Charizard opened one blue eye, exhausted, but alive. He gave a low, rumbling grunt to the smaller lizards. The storm had broken. The mountain was theirs again. The world of Pokémon is vast and largely unexplored. To ensure you never miss a rare sighting, subscribe to the expedition today.